All right, fellas. So before we begin this episode, I'd like to start with a word from our sponsor. This advertisement was brought to you by the National Council for Cough Syrup Relations. After a long day of form stamping at the business factory, I like to take off my white collar and unwind. That's when I pull out my handy bottle of cough syrup. Cough syrup, now in a new, larger bottle, is my go-to when I need to unwind after a hard day of businessing. Whether I'm sitting by the pool, relaxing with my friends, or passed out on the sofa at 6 p.m., cough syrup is there for me. You can find cough syrup anywhere cough syrup is sold.
Well, thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsors.
Big thanks to our sponsors.
It also
Cough
mixes
syrup.
well with vodka.
We had
Welcome
a note
to Crack Hot.
Welcome to CrackHeads.
All right, today we're going to be talking about what I like to call the original Expendables. These are the Russian agents that we dropped back into the Soviet Union after they defected. And boy, did it not go well.
You could say they were defective.
So anyway, I'm pulling most of this material from Killing Hope by William Bloom. Great book. Highly recommend it. You can get it for free on CIA.gov because Osama bin Laden had a copy. And if that's not a ringing endorsement, I don't know what is.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff you can find that they found
We'll
in
be
Osama
covering.
bin Laden's. Yeah.
We will be covering.
And it's available for free.
I think you can find Finding Nemo on the CIA website for the same reason.
Oh, hell yeah.
2003 was a great year for cinema. Finding Nemo.
Speaking of the Expendables.
Oh yeah, speaking of great cinema.
So wait, do we need to explain what the Expendables are?
It's that movie with,
Yeah,
with all the 80s action guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're expendable.
Stallone,
So
Yeah, Stallone, the Italian
Dolph
stallion.
Lundgren,
Schwarzenegger's
in a couple of them. Yeah, that's pretty much. That's the names that are coming to mind.
Yeah, but there are like 75 of them.
Yeah, there's like any 80s action movie star came back as grizzled old men to, I don't know, blow up. Was it Colombians?
I think it was Colombians to start with, but then it was like Russian gangsters.
Classic 80s villains.
Good shit. Yeah.
People we were fighting, years
Wait,
decades ago.
communist Russians that are also in Colombia selling drugs to
Ooh,
Cuba.
The ideal.
Doesn't that I would believe that. I would not be
anti-Contras.
surprised.
Wait, what's Contra backwards?
Artnock?
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 Artnock.
Argnock.
It's Artnock.
That sounds like a sim, like a sports team for Sims.
Artnock.
Artnock. Wapnadu.
Mersta Buzz.
MRSA.
So, yeah, Expendables, classic 80s, super testosterone, bodybuilding is clearly how you're fit sort of mindset. America is great. Rocky Balboa ended the Cold War kind of mindset.
It was much like that. And the Expendables was, one group of badasses who went and did work. This is more about individuals. It's a little bit more James Bondy than that. It's kind of a mix of James Bond and the Expendables.
The British action movie star of the 80s.
Yeah. My favorite band is James Bond and the Expendables. It's good stuff. So, we're going to be talking about the 1950s and early 60s, just after the end of World War II, under President Eisenhower. I like Ike. So, we're going to be talking about first the various airplane flights we made over the Soviet Union, which also didn't go well.
Gee, I wonder what happened.
What could have possibly gone wrong there?
To Mr. Powers.
So, the NSA, which is the National Security Agency, which we've talked about before, they're the signals intelligence, radio intelligence
The other
people.
NASA.
The other NASA. And the CIA. Flew...
Wait, CIA, isn't she the pop star who wears the weird white wig?
Oh my fucking god. You should swing from the chandelier instead of doing this.
Whew, we were flying blind there for a couple of minutes while Brad wasn't in his
Thank
seat.
you,
I was
Brad.
so worried.
Brad is dead. Long live Brad.
Oh no. He died doing what he loved.
Diet Coke.
Sound work.
Oh.
So we got these Americans, and you put them in Russia, right? It's like a fish out of water, a wacky sort of slapstick comedy.
We'll get to that. So we're flying these planes out of Japan, Greece, Turkey, and Iran over the Soviet Union, or more often just near the Soviet Union, like in, where it's legal.
Soviet and adjacent.
Soviet adjacent.
Afghanistan?
Kind of like a shitty neighbor who...
Not quite the Iron Curtain, like the Bronze Curtain.
Well, no, kind of like a shitty neighbor who gets up near your property and mows
aluminum fence.
Almost right there.
The aluminum foil
The white
fence.
picket fence.
Yes.
The aluminum drapes.
The aluminum blinds that you can peek through at your neighbor that you hate and whose tires you slash.
Curtains are better for peeking at a neighbor because blinds move too much.
The tin shroud.
Oh, you're right, and cats won't destroy them as much.
Mm-hmm. That's true. They'll climb on the curtains, but curtains are usually sturdy, so they're not going to
With
break.
blinds,
Especially if
you
they're
can
made
tell
out of
who owns the
iron.
animal.
Yeah,
But if you
especially
have
iron
issues, but you know,
curtains.
if you're having issues with cats, there's the age-old issue, the age-old solution, the second wire.
Yeah.
Everyone crossed yourselves. Say your prayers.
I'm sorry, Mr. Alan Dulles. You're looking down on us right now. So we fly these planes all around the Soviet Union and sometimes into the Soviet Union, sometimes a considerable distance. Tracking radio signals and taking pictures of, missile locations. There were a lot of mobile missiles back then on truck beds.
Yeah, this is like peak arms race time frame,
Peak
right?
arms race. Although the missiles really hadn't come up yet. This is the 50s mostly.
But still,
There's some
this is
ballistic
like
missile
everyone's been making a bunch of nuclear weapons that you can make them,
We're
and
trying to
they're
track the
moving.
other
You're
guy's
moving
nuclear
all over
weapons.
the place, so no one knows where they are.
Shuffling them around like
Yeah.
a shell game.
Yeah.
So we're tracking that, we're tracking military concentrations, and we're picking up radio broadcasts internally. So a number of these planes were actually shot down because they strayed into the Soviet Union.
How many of those were known to the public? Because I know there's the Gary Powers, or what. That's well known.
Bridge of Spies and a whole movie about it.
Yeah. The only one that I really knew of before researching this was Gary Powers in that one U-2. But apparently, according to Dmitry Volkogonov, a former Soviet general and co-chairman of the
That's a name.
Russian-U.S. Commission investigating the whole question of missing Americans, he said that about 730 airmen had been captured on Cold War spy flights.
Jesus Christ. Oh, I wonder how that one got
So-
well known, though.
730. They probably shot down maybe a dozen or more planes,
Yeah.
which were, large. These were modified bombers that had a lot of radio equipment. So they
Yeah.
were, 10 guys each.
Still, that's like
More than I thought.
70 planes.
Yeah. And so the number is actually unclear because this was, a police state.
Was he just like the person who survived?
What?
They're
this
like, oh, we
Dmitry guy?
have to do something. No, Powers.
Powers was a propaganda win
Okay.
because he was from one of these, formerly untouchable spy flights.
Mm.
The Soviets never really publicized doing any of this stuff.
Oh, why would you, right?
Yeah, because they didn't want to tell their own people they were being spied on like that. Yeah, so what they did with most of these guys is they just held them, and they would probably swap them out for, Soviet prisoners and spies and stuff like that. Bridge of Spies stuff. Great movie. Not all of these planes carried radio gear, though. Some of them dropped off these Expendables. They were recruited from Soviet bloc immigrants, mostly from Russia and Ukraine, although some Balts.
Hasti. Vaga Hasti.
And they were recruited by this organization, this really bizarre organization called the National Union of Labor, which in Russian is the
No.
Nacionalno Trudovoi Soyuz, or NTS. How do you say that?
They don't have a C. Oh, they don't have C. Okay. Nacionalno Trudovoi Soyuz.
That was pretty good.
They don't have a C.
Is that Soyuz like the rocket?
Yeah, Soyuz means union.
They're the original
Okay.
soy.
Learn something new.
Yeah,
The original soy milk.
Original soy milk.
the soy boys.
We have
as
no
they call
cows. We only have nut juice.
them.
Oh, we'll get to cows.
Collectivizing the soy farm. So this was an anti-communist organization that was founded in the 30s in Europe by people who'd fled from the Russian Revolution and the absolute shit show that turned out to be.
The Russian Revolution, or like them all being in Europe together.
No, they were okay, I guess, but the Russian Civil War was an absolute bloodbath. It was really bad. The Russian Empire kind of just blew up for 5 years.
Hey, Roaring Twenties.
Great times. It was founded in Yugoslavia in the 30s by actually the children of the people who had escaped from the Soviet Union. They thought that their parents had sort of resigned themselves to the continued Soviet control of Russia, and they resolved to overthrow that government.
That's something I notice a lot with like the children of people who were involved in these regimes, is since they didn't actually live in the country, all they know about that place is what their parents told them.
Yeah, about how great it was when the Tsar
Before,
was in charge.
yeah. So a little bit of a
Yeah, these were real interesting people.
salt grains.
There's some grains of salt. They followed this ideology that I tried to track down and figure out what it was called solidarism, which claims to be a third way between liberalism and socialism, which is usually a bad sign. Like that's what the fascists all said. But
Yes.
best I can tell, these guys were not fascists. They were.
Wait, was it like that cartoon from the 1900s of the bike? It's like the old way, the wrong way, and the new way.
The old way, the wrong way. Yeah, it was a lot like that. And it was this weird.
But it's just
kind
a
of,
bike with like 9 Latvians stacked on top of each other.
You know, as you do.
They nest.
Yeah, the Latvians are. What's the K versus R reproduction?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Where like bugs versus monkeys kind of thing.
Yeah, bunkies.
Bugs reproduce at really high rates, but that's because they die very quickly, whereas like mammals, the opposite.
Yeah, so Latvians reproduce very quickly, but mammals tend to reproduce.
I was thinking more
slowly.
like them stacking like cups. Or like plates or nesting
Oh,
dolls.
because Russians, they stack like nesting dolls, but the Latvians are like those stacking cups that kids play with.
Yeah.
That's how they store themselves when they power down.
So it's
Stack
just
Cup
like
was my favorite game.
a formation of them
Stack
on a
Cup is
bike,
good
and
fun.
that's the new way.
Yeah, so they created the New Way, which was this bizarre, totally incomprehensible ideology. Absolute bullshit. It's almost good that these guys never won, because then we'd have to deal with them trying to figure out what the fuck they actually believed in. It's confusing. So this NTS movement was very active post-World War II in West Germany. They recruited for their little institute that they had. It was a spy academy called the Institute for the Study of the USSR.
Usually things that have institute in their name and then a really banal sounding modifier, usually bad news.
Yeah.
As we've learned from the National Policy Institute, it's the business factory.
We work at the business factory doing business. I work at an academy studying the USSR. Certain aspects of it we study harder than others.
Yeah.
Like border security.
Yeah.
You know, how to get rid of your accent.
How to sneak in. So
Can I make a
NTS
tunnel from Paris to Kiev? Let's find
I
out.
don't know. Are you the FBI?
No, I'm Sia.
See ya.
That might go well for you then.
She swings from the chandelier over the border.
Like a swashbuckling dame.
An iron chandelier has descended over Europe.
Cut the rope and swing high.
Actually, her image was inspired by Alla Nazimova.
Who?
Yeah, who?
Oh, you know the queen of silent cinema?
I have no idea who you're
No
talking
clue
about.
what's going on here.
Well, some of you haven't seen the
You dropped the
Sol-
name. I think that you
Oh,
know.
okay.
Ooh.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So none of you have seen the Salome adaptation, the first one for screen.
No.
Okay, just back to whatever you were
Keep putting
saying.
these out there. I don't
Shut
think-
up.
Look how much culture I have. All of it produced
not
by the
helping.
Hey,
CIA.
she had an orgy garden. That's not CIA.
Okay, I'll take that back.
So we at least know that she's cool. We don't know anything. We just know she's Chad.
Yeah, you came in at orgy garden, Brad.
I heard that.
You've seen Olive
That's
Garden. Now
another
get ready
band
for.
name.
Unlimited
Sorry.
breadsticks.
Unlimited steak.
Everything's stale at this orgy.
At Olive Garden, we've broken the conservation of mass and energy. We have unlimited breadstick.
When you're here.
Oh god, no, it's like
Yogi Berra?
it's like rope, and you just cut it like tell me when. And they keep getting breadsticks, and they chop
It's like
it.
it's like a welder. There's just a huge spool of wire. You pull the trigger,
bread
just
spool.
Here, so you just put the beginning of the breadstick in your mouth, and it spools out very slowly as you chew. So you never have to pick your hands up. You
Oh,
sit
it's
with
like
your
the
there's
hands
scene
a
up.
from,
pedal underneath the chair.
Lady and the
that you
Tramp,
see
but it's just
control
one
the weight.
person eating the spaghetti.
It's literally the
Oh.
feed rate.
Do you think it would be cool to eat spaghetti where you never had to use a fork and you just picked it up, put
One
a noodle in
spaghetti.
your mouth, and there was like a mile-long noodle,
You know what?
and you could dap sauce on it?
I can
That
make
would be
that.
really interesting.
I can make that. You can
like-
make spaghetti.
Like, I'd be curious to see because
You
you.
make a mile-long spaghetti noodle.
Not a mile long. I
Oh.
can make it pretty damn long.
Because like I'd be worried
If
you'd
you hand
break
roll
it.
it.
You'd probably break it.
At some point, it's gonna collapse.
Because there's a lot
Or
of.
if it's a nice thick like udon.
Yeah.
See, you could do it.
or
but
like a lasagna noodle, then it would be like kind of a tape.
What if it was just like a ziti, you know?
Just a whole, just
That's more
an
structural
infinite
sound.
ziti.
or a really long lasagna, a mono lasagna, where you put one long tomato on it.
And we put a train on that.
And
See, but
It's a mono
the problem is that
Yes.
as soon as you make anything long like that, you're gonna have issues. Like it'd be really
So-
impressive if you made this because that'd be a really fine-tuned.
What you have to do is
instrument.
you have to take a bunch of tortellinis and you have to like staple them together into a long chain, and you can spit the staples
the,
out
the
one side of
human
your mouth.
tortellini.
What
Like
if
a
we just
machine
want
gun.
really big tortellini that just goes, you know?
Is it a
Pick it up like
tortellini
a
or they have to be
burger.
round? So
Honestly, I know what it
Just
should
a
be.
big
It should be vermicelli, but not like one piece, like several that you've braided into like a wire.
You can have like a roper sitting at the table with
that's
your
like
brain.
that way it has it has enough tensile strength that you're not gonna accidentally break it, and it'll just keep going.
but can you eat it? Be very chewy.
Couldn't you just kind of swallow the rice
Vermicelli,
noodle?
it's
and-
very
It is a bit-
chewy.
I mean,
It's
maybe if you
flexible.
overcook it a little bit, then it's a little bit.
So speaking of the USSR Institute,
Oh yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, we have a fucking topic for this stupid podcast.
Who cares, right?
yeah, we're here talking about Orgy Garden.
As long as we
Lasagna
get our
orgy.
45
Smell on noodles, is it possible?
As long as we get our
Can
45
people-
minutes of content, I'm pretty sure that cough syrup will keep paying up.
We'll be content.
Big
Yeah.
cough syrup is
Big
funding
cough
this
syrup.
podcast. We're taking dark money from Big Cough Syrup.
Oh, imagine if we did the Got Milk ads, but it's just like cough syrup.
It's someone like splayed out in a bar lounger. Like
Got syrup.
Like there's an empty
sunk
whiskey
out.
tumbler in one hand and a bottle of cough syrup in the other.
Or like,
Wait, no, wouldn't it be got cough and then like he's just holding the syrup?
Not anymore, he doesn't.
we
Like,
could get
well, not
rappers.
anymore, but that's the
Or just like the classic like the Uncle Sam we want you. It's like got cough. Very
Got
But it's
intimidating.
just
cough.
like running down his mouth.
And it could be like Future or one of these other Atlanta rappers with like a big cough syrup, like got cough. Promethazine. It's for
Okay.
the family.
So the Expendables who parachute in.
Oh yeah,
Russia.
yeah. So NTS, as you may have heard, was not successful at overthrowing the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
Maybe
we.
not have heard.
Turns out they didn't work.
It's like a boy band that never took off.
It really is. It's
Well, they
very
did.
sad.
They just never landed right.
Oh.
Yeah, jumping out of airplanes.
We're a little
There it
looser
is.
now. That's good. That's good. We're riffing, folks.
Why did you say that? Now we lost it.
Yeah.
So recruitment of a lot of these NTS agents was, of course, funded by our great friends, the CIA. Yeah.
Welcome back to the table. It's
right.
been a while.
It's been a hot minute. Pull up
Yeah.
a chair. So they funded a wide-ranging program to get people who came from Russia to Europe, or really anywhere else, in contact with NTS. They bugged hotel rooms. They had agents, run into people on the street. They
Hey, you seem like you could be the kind of person that wouldn't mind dropping out of an airplane to try and overthrow the Soviet Union.
Say, pal, you ever try skydiving?
It's like when you
You've got
models
that
get
look.
scouted, where it's just like you just got the legs of a spy. You got those spy legs
You
because
have the je ne sais quoi of rebel overthrow. I don't know what it is, but I have this feeling. Yeah, it's that X factor, you know?
And I like to imagine that they recruited a bunch of people who were kind of like, just dull but very happy type A. Like, oh, I'm just real excited to overthrow the government. Let's go, guys. This sounds great.
You know what? This weekend I was thinking about maybe like making a pie or a roast, but your plan sounds much more fun, Mr. CIA man. Let's go para-jump into Russia.
You think they had guys on the street corner in Hare Krishna robes handing out like solidarist literature?
I think they were doing sign spinning.
wanna.
Ooh,
I think they're just like,
Oh, they had the car dealership thing.
yeah.
Oh, they had
like,
the two-man.
the
but
do
two-
you
thing.
want to overthrow?
You are two man.
Hey, remember that stuff that your parents said about the czars? Want to reestablish that? Come hang out with us.
we have a democratic ideology, but we don't rule out a monarchy.
Woo!
Zarodino!
Use cars for $900.
We will buy your monarchy. we buy we buy bad cars.
We buy bad governments for cash.
Your
It's like,
cash.
that's like cash for clunkers, but it's Simtex for
Your
clunkers.
bad government.
Cash for
Cash for
It's
communism.
cash for anti-communist government structures.
This palette of anti-communist literature can be yours for the low price of $19.99
For just
shipping and handling.
4 easy
It's like
payments
you got
of
this-
your,
what was it
of your
called, the
natural
ideology?
resources
Oh,
and
solidarism.
autonomy.
Of the National Sleep
It's like
Foundation.
slaps the top of solidarist literature. This baby will get you anywhere.
Or no, it would be the Nacionalno Trudavoy Sleep.
Foundation.
Yeah, yes.
Slaps the top of this. You can fit so many rebellions into this bad boy.
Oh, and this is kind of sad, but their idea was that they would create they called them molecules, and a molecule would be a rebel cell of 2 to 3 people. And they would stay in contact with the Home Office in Germany, and eventually, on some given day, the call would go out to rise up, and they would
it's like a
overthrow the Soviet
sleeper.
Union.
Actually, you know what? That's not that crazy.
It's insane. There's no way it could ever work.
Well,
and it's
okay,
kinda
in the
sad.
50s, sure, but that's kind of like what you look at now with terrorism.
That's what these guys always think. That you read enough history of these various terror and rebel movements and stuff.
Well, yeah, it's 'cause no one's
doesn't
organized
work
enough.
like that.
No one's
Yeah.
organized enough. But
It's
like,
one of those things where we only hear about the successes.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But
These guys failed
I-
because they forgot that the Soviet Union was a
Hey,
fucking
Al-Qaeda
police
did it.
state, and they just rounded all of them up. And shit.
I'm about to say, like,
Yes,
like,
you're
like, much
thinking,
as much as you wanna
Brad.
shit,
That was
like,
an ad for
like,
Facebook.
Small cell terrorist action has proven very effective in the past.
Yeah, you can just do one guy and some fertilizer.
So, Timothy, how do you feel about skydiving?
Not that I'm for that.
But no, but like,
We have to clarify repeatedly that we're against terrorism on this podcast.
which is not.
we have to keep
I don't know
saying
if that's
that.
great for.
It's not a good
What
one.
does that say about our content?
We
And
are
our
pro
sense of
cough
humor?
syrup anti-terrorist.
Safe to say we don't support killing of others.
Yeah, we like podcasting, not hurting people.
I mean, unless someone's trying
And
to kill
while
you.
Monsanto does
I feel
sponsor our
maybe.
podcast,
Who knows?
we don't use their fertilizer for that.
It's so we can grow our cough syrup trees.
Oh, gotta tap them like maple syrup.
It's cough syrup season. Put on your flannels. We're going out into the woods.
Call it syrup for a reason.
I like the little
Good old
honeybee, but it's
Verm-
full of purple syrup, and you put it on the pancakes.
Good old Vermont cough syrup.
Oh no.
I put it in my coffee.
We serve New
Cough
Hampshire
syrup,
cough
nut
syrup.
Cheerios.
In
No,
this
but
house.
instead of a bear, it would be shaped like that kid who dropped out of 10th grade.
Oh yeah.
it's like
It's Tyler shaped.
Did you know that Canada has a maple syrup reserve? They have
If
like
they didn't,
they
I
have
think
like a
it's fine.
strategic reserve of maple syrup.
Is it in like a NORAD style mountain bunker?
I like to imagine that it's in some
That's
top
how the
level
massacre
secure.
happened.
What?
What?
Started by,
You don't know
The
about the
massacre?
It's just, I like to imagine like there's just like a constantly
What? You
changing
haven't-
patrol.
We need to change
of
the topic of
Mounties.
this real fast. The
You haven't
massacre.
heard of the massacre.
The massacre.
The massacre was, I think, like 1901, but a giant tank, I kid you not, tank of molasses in
Oh,
Boston.
God.
It was hot. It like exploded,
heard
and
about
it actually destroyed a whole neighborhood. Like a few dozen people died from drowning in hot molasses.
Oh my god.
And actually, apparently into the 60s on hot days, you could smell molasses in Boston.
Yeah,
Holy
believe it.
That must have been like the slowest death ever.
Wait, hold
Oh
on.
no!
Because
shut up.
so
helpless.
what
molasses
you
think.
molasses' viscosity changes drastically with temperature.
It was actually a 12-foot wave going 30 miles an hour.
What?
Because if it was
Yeah.
really hot,
Molasses
it moves
tidal
like
wave.
water.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
the
That's-
massacre.
That's why the saying is like
Molasses.
it's like you're slow as molasses in January. Like it's like
That's
because when molasses is cold, it
Does that mean
freezes.
when I run, I'm fast as molasses? in
Exactly. It's like
July?
yeah, you could
that's like a
Joel.
folksy southern saying.
it's like I'm as fast as molasses in a 450 degrees Fahrenheit oven. What? A 12-foot tidal wave going 30 miles an hour.
No, but remember you're in Boston.
Gotta
so-
go fast.
So I guess their thing now should be called the Boston Molass Holes.
Oh.
Hey, because we call them mass holes because they're mean.
That leaves a bittersweet taste in your mouth.
Oh.
Come on, give him some sugar.
Okay. So
Holy fuck.
wow, we can edit out everything else and just keep the massacre. And the
That's
syrup
it. That's our
content.
that's
pretty
our
good.
that's our
That's a
episode.
good
It's 10 minutes.
Maybe 2 episodes.
Yeah, let's really spread it out.
We'll have an episode about cough syrup, an episode about massacre.
Yeah.
Those are both.
But yes, Canada does have a maple syrup reserve, and it's hilarious. And I like to think that it is one of their most guarded facilities.
Can you imagine Peter Thiel like a James Bond villain, like
sorry, wait,
sneaking
hold
into
on.
the facility? Silicon Valley weirdo guy. Rich,
Got it.
you know.
Okay.
Oh, he's the one who like drinks blood, right? Or no, he
They all-
wears blood.
No, they don't. They don't yet do the Elizabeth Bathory thing where you bathe in blood to stay young, but that's coming.
Oh, I
Brad?
thought he got like blood transfusions.
Did we just take a quick trip to Barovia? Like,
I'll pass.
yeah, I'm good.
Silicon Valley.
I'll
bad.
stay on
We'll
this
be
side.
talking about them later too.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
I have some good content that's adjacent to Crack Ops about Silicon
So
Valley.
you have these.
But this guy he's a James Bond villain, like sneaking into the reserve and like pumping it dry in the night with like his army of minions in striped shirts or something.
I like to imagine he just has a tube that goes to Lake Superior,
It's like
stealing your syrup.
My maple syrup submarine will be full soon, Mr. Bond. There is no preventing
Just
it.
a maple syrup pipeline.
It's like
From that facility.
steals the maple syrup, uses that to collapse the Canadian government, establishes their own shadow government, uses that to try and it's a very the evil
Living
villain
through another
monologue.
Cuba.
Mega Canada.
The evil villain monologue in this movie took like most of the movie. It was very cleverly written, very poorly made.
Mr. Bond, you haven't seen Hyper Canada yet. It will be glorious.
It's a Canada that goes underground at like 1,000 miles an hour. Hyper Canada.
But only when it's at 450 degrees.
A 12-foot wave.
12-foot wave of
This is like
Hyper
just a 12-foot wave of kind of random tangential references sweeping across the podcast, killing the content.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So
the
anyway, back
content.
to our action heroes.
Someone think about the content.
So, won't
Think of
someone-
the content!
I'm clutching my pearls. I'm clutching
Think
my
of the
pearls.
content.
Oh, the content, the poor content.
I can't babushka in this shirt very well.
Wait. Start talking, Jack. I'm just an old Polish grandmother.
You look kind of like Sheboroshka with the ears.
That looks like that honestly looks like Queen Amidala from like Star Wars kind of. It's like, but then like we'll look back 5 minutes later and you'll be in a completely different outfit.
Yeah, like how did she totally redo everything? She's in combat.
You know what? I like to think that it's because of
Get your
space
own.
technology that they invented the elaborate quick change 3000
You seen
or
quick
whatever.
dry cotton, now you got quick change cotton.
It's
Just
all
like
clothes in the future will
you
be
just
no
walk
iron.
it. You just walk into this thing. You walk out the other side, and you're in a completely different, elaborate, ornate outfit. It takes like 2 seconds. It's very painful, but it's very fast.
You get like sunburn if you do it too many times.
You need to spend a day in the anti-radiation chamber because
Oh.
Yeah, you get your yearly dose of rads from like changing outfits.
too
in
many
30
quick
seconds.
change.
You got to take some of those pills from Fallout too.
Yeah,
to
you
fight
take some
yourself.
iodine to protect your thyroid.
Yeah.
So the Expendables.
Speaking of dumb shit, they recruited a bunch of Soviet emigres, diplomats, sports people, anybody who was dissatisfied. They'd follow them around to find out if they didn't like the Soviet government, and then they'd send them to the Institute for the Study of the USSR, wherein the British and American intelligence services would teach them various spying and sabotage techniques, and they would kit them the fuck out. These guys dripped. They had everything, man. They had frog suits. They had Semtex.
Oh,
detonators,
for a sec,
tiny
I thought
guns.
you meant like a frog mascot costume.
No.
Okay, just go on.
But
Push through.
But they were like
They were
like
geared
a
up.
Call
They
of
were-
Duty loadout. Like you had like
They were
way
COD
too much
loadout.
shit.
Yeah, they had so much stuff. They had rubber
They were
mats.
iced.
They had these rubber mats, these big rubber mats that you could throw over an electrified fence to go over it. I mean, it was down to that level.
Sweet grenades,
Grenades, they
Cameras,
had
rugs.
They had these radio.
Grenadine.
yeah,
Yeah.
the sword and the explosive device.
Tactical throwing.
I mean, they were ready.
Wait, a blue sword and a blue
And if
shield.
you hit the guy in the foot, he's dead.
dead.
That is the rule.
They
But if you shoot the
headshotted.
guy in the head, you have to do it 3 times.
Yeah, yeah. Like, hey, don't get up. I hit you in the foot. Sorry.
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 NTS actually taught these guys to 360 no scope in KGB offices.
That's like the action montage. It's like, we found this sniper. We're not sure how good he is though. Put a target out at 500 yards. What do you think he's doing? Run.
Why is he spitting so much?
Now it's like so perfect at it.
Why is the gun moving
You know,
so much
Jack-
faster than his view? He must have that sensitivity up real high.
And then you cut to the target. Just it's a peaceful day in the field, and then the bullet just tears through.
But that's
and
why the Russians had
explodes.
so many ballet dancers, so they can get up on the point and just spin around.
Yeah, the 360 no scope pirouette. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a classic.
The Bolshoi Ballet actually equips all dancers with Mach 10s. It helps you spin faster by
Yeah, I know.
spraying
Yeah,
bullets.
exactly. And that's why you hold it sideways so they control the vertical.
I just like to imagine every combat was double action boogaloo.
Oh,
So how long do they train before they actually put them in the field?
some months. Who cares? They trained them.
Month time.
Trained them.
They
Okay, here's
The
the question.
emphasis here
Did
is-
they train them more or less than they did the cat microphone?
more than cat microphone.
Okay.
Really?
Because
it took
these
a
are
long time
people.
for the kitty.
It is easier to train a human than a cat.
Yeah, you don't need the
Yeah.
second wire. You just
But
tase
they,
them.
they were trying to turn these guys into. Some of them were going to be like stay behind, like deep cover agents. Some of them were going to go blow up dams or assassinate officials.
As one does.
As one does in cool movies like the one that we're talking about. And others of them were equipped with these radio beacons. Like if you ever played, Battlefield 4, You know what these things are. You put them down and people can spawn in the air and parachute in.
They exist in real life back in the
Actually
50s.
happens.
Yeah, that's how combat works.
Yeah.
Video games are real. No, they had radio beacons to guide U.S. planes, either for more agent drops to build a cell up by dropping people over a number of months in one space, or for bombers in the event
But it's just
of
like it's a
nuclear war.
transponder.
Yeah, transponders,
Yeah.
just radio beacons.
Tech that we've had for a while.
Yeah,
Back to like First World War, Second World War.
Well, that's sort of what we talked about with the number stations.
it's a lot like that.
Yeah.
It was a little beacon that a plane
Yeah.
could pick up, and with enough of them, you could triangulate, distance
Yeah.
and direction. This was
Yeah.
before GPS, so flying at night was very hard.
It's a battery and a piece of metal, and a little thing just goes deet, 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 deet.
It's a little beeper,
Yeah,
just like LL Cool J had.
like Sputnik.
So to quote from Killing Hope again, the Russians were returned to their homeland for a variety of reasons. To gather intelligence about military and technological installations, commit assassinations, obtain current samples of identification documents, that was a big one, and assist Western agents to escape, to engage in sabotage, for which they were well trained, methods of derailing trains and wrecking bridges, actions against arms factories and power plants, etc., or instigate armed political struggle against communist rule by linking up with the resistance movement. A wholly unrealistic goal given the feeble state of such movements, but one which some NTS fanatics swore by. So, these guys they were blowing a lot of government money, and none of their shit ever worked. Section 3 is titled
Operation
Results.
Acoustic Human.
That's just the movie RoboCop.
Oh! Okay.
RoboCop.
Robo-op.
Robo-Op.
Oh.
It was the unreleased prequel. Is they just put a battery in his stomach and a microphone on his face.
He doesn't have a tail, so it's just up his spine. He can't bend over. Like he drops his cell phone. He's just
if
like.
if he bends too much, it breaks.
Let's be honest, couldn't
so he has
bend
like
that
a
costume
curt like. Okay, that's as far as I can go.
Section 3 of my outline is titled Results Not So Good. So a majority of these agents were just caught almost immediately and executed. They weren't foreign nationals, and they had technically done espionage, so that's what countries do.
Treason.
They take people like that, they give them a quick trial, and they just shoot them. We knew, and NTS knew that this was happening, and they just kept sending people. They just kept doing it for like 10 years.
Sunk cost.
It was really a sunk cost fallacy thing.
Well, I mean, really, the startup costs are the most expensive part. So.
Yeah, we should start an
Years,
app.
before you start turning a profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Most businesses
so
are unprofitable for the
it's
first year.
worth trying. Right?
We should start an app
You already
where from your phone you can send people behind enemy lines to blow up dams.
We
the
should-
next 99-cent app. There it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Silicon Valley people invest in us. We have ideas.
Yeah. Beat out cough syrup.
Big cough syrup.
We're in the pocket
Doesn't
of
want
big
you to know
cough
about
syrup
this.
for now. Yeah.
Big
Oh.
cough syrup doesn't care. They want you to hear this and then drink cough syrup.
To forget it.
I don't know if our sponsor Cough Syrup's gonna like us talking about them negatively so much.
Yeah,
What are you talking
it's
about?
okay. We can edit the
It's
bad stuff.
positive.
Oh, yeah,
Drink
like-
cough syrup.
We keep editing
Drink
out
it.
all of those times that
Are
people
you
say the
smoking
N-word.
yet?
So. Do you think you could vape cough syrup?
I think it's too viscous.
I don't know
Like
if it.
too sludgy and
I think that there's a lot of particulate in it. Like when you vaporize it, you'll get the water out, and then you'll just have this schmutz in your vape
So
bag.
you would have to clean your vape.
You'd clog it out, and that's where all the stuff that you're looking for is.
so
Oh,
what
you
could
get
do-
like a hash
you could
crackle.
just create like resin basically.
Yeah.
And then you could do
Cough resin.
Wow, so you could
Cough
smoke
syrup
it,
muffins.
And then you could just wow.
you could
Yeah.
vape it to get some of the
Cough
goodie,
syrup edibles.
and then you could make edibles with cough syrup.
Man,
Good stuff.
Instead of just drinking it all at once, just vape it and then you get a second dose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
Save it for later.
honestly,
You can make
I
like a
like
brownie crumble.
You could just put it in a crack pipe. There you go.
it hurts so much to
Peanut
think about this
brittle.
happening, and I hate that someone's definitely done it.
Oh yeah.
We'll
no,
Google
you make
this
a good
after.
point.
We're gonna Google this afterwards, and then we're gonna do it. So, in 1961, the Soviet government published a book called "Caught in the Act," which detailed these agent actions, and they just put it out for the whole world to see, and it was very, very embarrassing. And the program stopped shortly afterwards. Now, the book obviously had some exaggeration and sensationalism. They said that they caught an ex-Nazi who we'd sent back
Wait, back to Russia?
because he was Ukrainian.
Say no more.
Yeah. Yeah, and like this, they said that
Sorry,
that NTS had dropped this guy into the Soviet Union. They caught him, and it turned out to be a guy who'd been involved in the Holocaust. I don't know if that's actually true. There's basically
Well,
no.
hey, there was one in
That's-
Akron?
Yeah, the thing
Acorn?
Acorn.
it's entirely
Ohio?
possible.
Oreo.
But
What?
Acorn Oreo.
Milk's favorite cookie.
Are we? Is there?
is
Are
it
you-
toast?
Yeah. Do you smell burnt toast? Are you striking out?
I smell popovers.
Foreshadowing.
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 Can you tell me what foreshadowing is?
We keep dropping these 50-cent words. Come on, guys. We got to rein it in. Just say,
Looky ahead.
looky ahead. Yes. That's our viewer base is
Looky,
much
looky,
more
cookie.
on that level.
Establishing. That's more
Yeah.
like a 25-cent.
So, it's plausible, but probably didn't happen. Another thing, and one of the reasons why this book got published when it did, is because basically from the start, the Soviets had infiltrated the shit out of this program.
They were good at that.
They
Because,
were
it
pretty
turns
good.
out these are
Yeah.
Russian immigrants. You know who else is Russian?
Oh yeah, it
Russians.
turns out the
Russians.
Soviet, most of the KGB is Russian.
Who would have...
And
Okay, hold on. Where's your data on that? Do you have sources?
I actually have sources on the back.
A graph of Russians, KGB.
It's just a map. It's just like Russia.
Yeah.
Arrow.
Here, let me-
KGB was here.
Russians be speaking Russian. Yeah, I got the sources in the back.
You've
Oh,
seen
God.
footage.
Yeah,
Folks, I've got the documents.
Documents. The CIA responded by not shutting the program down in spite of it being infiltrated all to shit throughout most of its lifetime. Instead, they tried to weed the double agents out by torturing a bunch of people in Munich. And
Oh, I was thinking that they would leave, like, some stale bread out and see who goes for it.
putting out little rat traps. Yeah, because the program was in Germany, it was like headquartered in Munich. And so what they did with one of these guys is they put him in a dark room, and they bumped Indonesian pop music at such a high volume for like 3 days that he eventually cracked and
Sukarno.
confessed.
It's a callback.
It's a callback to our boy Sukarno.
they just played his sex tape.
But I'm imagining that, but like a trap remix.
This guy, he doesn't even care that he's being recorded. He wants it.
He's waving at the camera. It was a hidden camera.
He always just goes full JFK and just, in every room while he's having
just
My
sex.
fellow Indonesians.
Nixoning the
Oh my
crap out.
God.
I think Sukarno was the kind of person who peed with the door open even when roommates were home.
That's
seems
how you
the vibe.
establish dominance.
I don't think he just peed with the door open.
Oh, you don't think he was an open door shitter?
I think he was an open door shitter.
Oh man, I can see it.
That
Yeah.
sounds like some sort of CIA program they make after a big PR disaster. Guys, from now on, we are open door shitters.
Full transparency.
Full transparency.
The bathrooms are glass now.
Oh.
Everything is up for FOIA.
Foya the Destroyer.
Agent A.
FOIA the toilet
My
destroyer.
favorite WWE wrestler from the '90s was Foya the Destroyer.
Oh, that was a good one.
My God, is that General Westmoreland's music?
Sorry, Jack.
Oh, sorry, I'm dropping names.
Yeah, stop dropping
gotta
those
keep
names.
this in your pocket.
Big
Lock 'em
Big
up.
Stanley Westmoreland was the guy who commanded the Vietnam War.
Well, my WWE name would be Rumsfeld, so.
Big Don Rumsfeld.
So they're all dying. They're being tortured with Indonesian
So
pop.
this is like, have you ever dropped like a piece of potato chip onto an anthill? This is what paradropping people into a police state is like. It doesn't work. They have radar. They can see the fucking planes coming.
And they need internal passports to like.
They had
Go
internal
anywhere.
passports. Yeah,
Never mind the fact that like planes are not quiet.
they're loud.
Yeah.
And also like
Planes
they had,
are loud.
They had an air force that just kept shooting these things down.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey,
Because even if you safely
with my
got
with my
through,
with my age of sales spyglass, I can see that guy just jumped out of that plane, and there he is. Go kill him.
because
Hey,
even if you got through, you don't exist on paper.
Exactly. I don't know how they thought they were going to have people do stay behind missions if they were
Yeah.
parachuting them in. I think some of this was for more traditional spycraft stuff,
Maybe
like
this was
double
just,
agents, but a lot of it was literally to parachute people in with a backpack full of shit to go blow a bridge up.
maybe the whole purpose of this was like if they succeeded, if any of their people they tried to infiltrate with succeeded, it's great. But the real purpose was just to find all the Russian agents that they could, draw them into the CIA program and to be like, okay, and everyone in there is a double agent. Shut it down. Bring him in.
It was a giant
straight
honeypot.
to Guantanamo Bay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that would be smart.
Yeah, it's a
So they
honeypot.
probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably why it was not what
That's
happened.
probably why it wasn't considered.
Yeah.
You know what else is sweet like honey? Cough syrup.
We love our cough syrup.
We love our cough syrup.
I was going to read the second ad, but I had it written on my hand in Sharpie, and I sweat a lot, so it's gone. Yeah. I don't know, man. This dumb program. So many of these planes were getting shot down that they actually had to come up with a new type of plane to go over the Soviet Union to take pictures. It was called the U-2. And it basically flies at the edge of space. And in, 1958? Gary Powers was piloting one of these U-2s over the Soviet Union, and they used a new type of anti-aircraft missile to shoot him down. And they paraded him around the world as the American spy plane guy. And it was a big embarrassment.
Wait, so this mission is one of the missions that like drove for the development of the U-2?
This set of aircraft activities, like the
style.
audio and radio spying, the spy dropping, the casualty rate was getting a little unacceptable, and it was going to cause diplomatic problems because we were like going over another country with planes.
Yeah.
So they created the U-2.
Which is the airplane that launched the UFO, not Area 51 myth stuff.
Yeah, that was one of the OG and like secret airplane experiments. Yeah. And fun, we're gonna do an episode on this, so I shouldn't talk too much about it. The Air Force like invented UFO myths, and they put out a bunch of fake UFO documents to the conspiracy community to cover up these secret plane tests.
So this horribly failing program is one of the progenitors of all of this conspiracy stuff from the 1950s in the CIA.
It really is. It's great.
Because their failed program wasn't working, so they're like, what if
we had a second failed program?
Yeah. What if we make an even harder to shoot down bomb?
Are U-2s a failure? I think they got a lot of Grammys.
I don't think that...
Podcasting jail.
Well, I got to see. Hey, I've heard the Irish don't even like
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for on this episode of CrackHeads.
It's because they're Protestant.
So, the U-2 plane program was an entirely Protestant operation, yes.
Quote from J. Edgar Hoover.
You had to show credentials at the door. If you were found with a rosary on your person, you were brought out and shot.
Name 3 saints. Name 3 saints.
I don't know
okay,
any. I don't know any. What was Martin Luther's favorite cough cure?
He cough syrup.
He loved his cough syrup.
What is cough syrup in German? Is it like
Hoffenjusen?
I probably a cough juice. I should probably just did something horrible in Dutch, but
Der Koffenbeferagen or
cough
something.
soft. Well, I know that soft is juice. SAFT.
Hofsaft.
There you go. Cough juice. But that sounds like juice that would make you cough. Like you drink this to cough.
Drink this to cough.
It's like, do you need to cough? Have you ever really badly helped the urge to cough, but couldn't quite do it? Consider drinking this.
Cough syrup makes you cough.
Ucough was probably the name of one of the people who got shot.
Hey, nice one. They do have funny names. Ucough Smakovich.
I'm sorry, what?
They dropped in a Ukrainian agent named Ucough Smakovich.
Like that's just like a probably happened sort of thing?
No, I'm just making
up
Ukrainian.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is fact.
Well, I mean, like, no, I thought we were playing the game of like this is probable.
Slutsky.
Oh yeah, Maxiped Slutsky.
Abby and I were just making fun of Ukrainian names for like an hour via Snapchat.
Okay, I did say that Gaydar sounds like...
Yeah, Gaydar does sound like a... It actually is a surname. Gaydar.
Oh.
Because one of the guys who wrecked the Russian economy in the 90s was named Gaydar.
Well, cool.
Which, if you pronounce it the English way, it said Gaydar.
He just destroyed the... That's why we don't have it anymore. Actually have a story.
The Soviets actually had an experimental Gaydar program. They had a big dish in Moscow that spun around.
If you told me that the CIA tried to develop one of those, I would not be surprised.
They tried to build a gay bomb.
Yes.
They tried to build a bomb that they could drop on an enemy army.
That sounds like a 1950s like gay bomb, gay bomb.
That's not possible.
Yeah, they did enough experiments with LSD that they realized it didn't make you gay. They crossed that off the list.
Oh.
But the frogs, on the other hand.
Frogs on the other
frogs, they can make the frogs.
You can make the
Someone brought this.
Theirs is a
yeah,
switch. No. If you pick up a frog, and you look. It's kind of like
Straight.
it's on like the left side,
It's
well,
an
like
F
near
switch.
the hind quarter. You just flick the switch and it turns into a gay frog.
Some South American frogs have a push button.
Yeah,
That's how
it
you can
depends.
tell the difference.
Yeah.
Well, you have to get like it's like trying to get your SIM card out. You need like a hairpin or something.
Yeah,
Get in
I mean,
there.
it depends on the model, but
You don't
all
wanna,
of
like,
them, all
accidentally switch
frogs,
it, you know, it has to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
intentional.
Oh,
all
yeah.
frogs have a gay switch on them. That is a
This
fact.
is true. Crack
Truly.
ops. Science fact number 1.
100%.
So,
We're gonna
speaking
keep
of
these coming.
Maxipad Slutsky,
Yeah, the program was a giant failure. There wasn't a name for it. It was just something they did for like 10 years. Great. Awesome. So we don't even know how many people died doing this.
maybe 700? Question mark.
So these are the
730
actual
American
Expendables.
airmen. The expendable Soviet citizens,
Oh!
we have no idea. Dozens to hundreds.
Ooh,
That's a big range.
ooh.
Yes.
That's like when they
Ooh.
say that like Gary Ridgway killed 12 to 200 people, and I'm like, that's not
That's-
200. Like it's like 12 to 90, and I'm like,
Oh, shit.
That's
Probably a higher
high-
end,
I
yeah.
don't know. That's a big.
When you have a range like that, you don't shoot for
Or
the
when they
middle.
give you cough syrup and they're like, this has a 0 to 50% chance of you giving diabetes.
If you giving diabetes.
Not our stuff. The cough syrup light.
You may not have diabetes.
If you
But you
touch
can give it to someone
Give it to
else.
Someone else.
You get one diabetes
Typhoid
charge,
Mary of
and
diabetes.
they are transferable.
Diabetes Mary.
One diabetes.
But like
Call
most,
out to
but
donate
the
one
rules
diabetes.
for
There
our
are starving
diabetes.
African children who don't have diabetes. You can give one African child diabetes for only $1 a day.
The rules for our diabetes white elephant is that once a diabetes has been exchanged 2 times, it's locked down.
You don't want an Indian give with diabetes. You want to just give it to one person and you can keep it.
How many diabetes do you have? I have 3.
I have diabetes.
You get
A, B,
diabetes.
and
You
C.
get diabetes. Everyone gets a
Look
diabetes.
under your chair. There's a diabetes.
Ah!
Oh, this is bigger than I thought.
You know, if you don't get
It's been-
diabetes, you
it's
might
kinda
get
weighty.
insulin.
Oh, a big bag.
Wait, but so with the whole like survivor's bias, if 730 U.S. airmen died,
That's not a phrase you want to hear
Well, they
associated
didn't-
with the program.
They
the
were in
government.
prison. They cycled through the Soviet prison system.
Okay.
Some of them obviously were just
So-
shot, but,
so-
or died on impact or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
They were shot down.
right? But then you
Some
gotta
were
wonder
released.
how many runs did each plane make before it was shot down, and how many people per plane run did they carry?
Various different types of planes. It could range from 2 to a dozen.
Okay.
Now, did
So
they
we'll put it
fly
somewhere in the middle. We'll
in
say
an
like
artful
8.
formation? Like,
No, they flew individually.
oh, so
Because
not
they were
like
secret.
not like
not like the Blue
full
Angels.
They clump
dancing.
together so that way, you know, they...
See, that's really what you want to do.
Oh,
when
to
you're
make
up
a
against
bigger plane.
explosive ammunition. Stay together.
I was thinking
Alright,
more
flight
of like
path.
water dancing.
Misery loves company. So do explosives.
Synchronized swimming.
Synchronized swimming.
Synchronized
But maybe,
crane flashing.
synchronized flying.
More like synchronized explosions.
Synchronized
Falling with
falling,
style.
but not with style because you were shot.
Crashing, yeah.
Synchronized
Well,
imprisonment.
there's pyrotechnics. It could be stylish.
What if they just fall and like they explode the exact same way? Synchronized fall, synchronized crashing.
Bum, bum, bum,
You
bum,
can like
bum.
set a metronome to it.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
But even
four.
like the shape of the
Crash,
explosion
crash,
is the same.
crash. Bloom, bloom, bloom. Screams and good.
And bringing this over.
All right, bring it back. Take it back to the top, guys.
Okay, now NKVD, this is your shot. You guys want to come on?
So like thousands of people. Thousands of
No,
No.
not thousands.
Come
of
on.
us.
Shut up.
How many planes?
Maybe even millions of it. You know, half the United
Trillions.
States is actually carried over to the Soviets.
No, but actually, like of not of the United States people, but of these immigrants that they were bringing in.
Dozens or a couple hundred.
Really?
Yes, it was a spy program. They weren't dropping divisions of men with tanks. It was,
But
one or
it
two
went for
dudes.
10 years, right?
Yeah, roughly.
And you had all these people that got the airmen that got caught.
Yeah, they just were imprisoned and sometimes exchanged.
Right. So you just
Now, what's the exchange rate for American to Russian
From
prisoners?
rubles?
$40.
how many rupees
Oh, I was
per
thinking like
American?
3 to 1, 1 to 3.
Well, after we got off the gold standard, it really started to fluctuate.
Yeah.
the Wizard of Oz is about this.
Oh my god. The one thing I'll never understand is the gold standard people. I just do not care.
Cash for gold, Jack.
Oh my god. Whatever.
Cash for cars.
Oh, instead of
Cash
a
for
cross
defunct
instead of
Soviets.
the
And
cross
that was
of gold
another name
speech.
one of the spies, Cash for gold.
Yes, we're guild.
We'll buy your gold.
We'll buy your
We'll
spies.
buy your wrecked government.
I don't know. Just doing the math here.
Just doing
That's
the
coming
math.
up to
We
to
got
a lot of people killed.
It was a very cynical operation.
Too many.
yeah.
Too many.
The Cold War, it turns out.
I'm betting
Yeah.
I'm betting like at least 1,000.
I wonder how many direct.
10 years.
I'm going to go under on that.
I wonder.
Like 10 years of
That's
this.
a lot of spies, though.
No, that
Yeah.
feels
Start of
high.
the war. That feels high.
Because I'm not sure how many people this thing even turned out. I think that really changes the
It was
numbers.
secret, so I also don't know.
Do you think 100 people died a year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a lot of people, man.
I don't
A lot
know.
of people died
They would
a
have to
year.
drop
That has to
someone
be like
basically
10.
every week.
That would have to be
Twice
like
a week.
yeah, 10
Yeah.
planes.
And they
Yeah.
have to all
10
die.
people.
Why not?
I mean, that's not even letting the people.
Russia's
who-
pretty big.
That's not even letting the people who got in there.
I love
succeed.
that. Russia's pretty
It's
big.
just
No, but like-
I assume they're dead. Put in 2 more.
Next,
Yeah.
We're
next
going to
time
send
I
10
have
guys
an
to blow
idea,
up this one bridge. One of them will get through.
Well, no, you said it was like cells of like 2 or 3, right?
like a phalanx.
No, that was the earlier strategy NTS had. They were just
Okay.
radio broadcasting, trying to radicalize people. Or de-radicalize or whatever, I don't know.
I would not be surprised if the statistic came back as that high.
Hey, who the hell knows, man? And, I'm sure that they were just picking people up because the Soviets were always very liberal with the number of people they arrested when they thought people were spies.
Oh no.
And that's the other side effect of it. You got to wonder, like, what's the splash effect of this? How many people got rounded up and
Yeah,
killed
how
that
many civilians
weren't actually...
who were just like minding their own business?
Yeah, just like, hey, a guy landed like 20 miles from here, and we're not sure who he is.
But
So, y'all, boom, dead.
So we thought you had liberal sympathies, and then a guy was parachuted into your communal farm, and you didn't say anything. So
You looked phased when we pointed a gun at you, so we think that you're a spy. a real son of Russia would not be afraid of our guns.
you
right
had-
hand on blue, right hand on blue.
You put too much salt in your borscht. You can't really be from around here.
Are you using spices in your cooking?
Did you just have a thought?
Don't be doing that. This is a no thought zone.
Dangerous. So, when did this come out?
Well, the book came out in 1961. I mentioned this Truth Commission from the 90s. in
Yeah,
which
that
this
sounds
Russian general,
really reliable. Truth Commission.
yeah,
The Ministry of Truth.
But
The truth.
I mean, that's when the Soviets, the Union broke down and the Russian government opened their archives. And we got a bunch of really great details on World War II. And we also got a lot of the spy stuff, which was not so great.
So it was Red Dead Redemption.
Without the Western.
Yeah,
So that's all
we're
the
not
time we
even
have for
gonna do
tonight.
Yeah.
See you guys next
that.
week.
So if you're ever wondering, ironically, the Soviet Union being a police state, that worked really well for the purposes of catching all the spies.
Especially when these spies were dropped in with a giant canvas behind them.
And a tremendous
I'm a
backpack with all this
spy
fucking
here.
shit.
That's literally what the parachute said.
I mean, parachutes make huge.
I'm a spy.
I mean, airplanes are loud. Parachutes opening are pretty damn loud.
Just having a backpack full of a mat that you throw over an electrical fence
Yeah,
so you can
like
jump
a
it.
pound of dynamite. Or
Yeah.
several more. A pound is not very much.
No,
That makes
no.
sense. No. 2 pounds of dynamite.
Ooh, now
Oh,
we're cooking.
you could take
Now
down
we're
the
cooking
government
with
with that.
dynamite.
Now we're cooking with explosive compounds.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so you're wondering why
That's how I make
Khrushchev,
popcorn.
when Khrushchev comes to power, he goes to the U.S. and says, "We've never had a normal." Or no, it was Gorbachev. He said something along the lines of, "We've never had a normal year. All we have ever known is war, famine, and repression. Please help us have a normal year." And we
Aw,
didn't. We didn't at all.
That's so sad.
Translated, fucking stop.
Please stop building nukes. We can't afford to keep building nukes. Yeah, good stuff.
So, Brad, you have any thoughts?
No.
He's never had a thought.
I don't think.
There are things we know, but there are also the ones we don't know.
I welcome this kind of examination.
The power of the presidency doesn't rest here.
Covert operation.
Grave danger to the civilized world.
You deserve the truth.